Everyone knows Wingstop brings the flavor. But now in Vegas, we're bringing it literally with Wingstop Delivery. And to mark the occasion, we've created the Bringing It Boneless Bundle. 25 wings, 4 flavors, and 4 dips for just $15.99. Now when your crew gets the craving, just order online and track those wings all the way to your doorstep. Check out our app or head to wingstop.com and choose delivery at checkout. Wingstop, the wing delivery experts. Las Vegas locations only.
Now, the 3 Martini Lunch with Greg Corombos and Jim Garrity.
And welcome, everyone, to the Tuesday edition of the 3 Martini Lunch. Along with Jim Garrity of National Review, I'm Greg Corombos of Radio America. Jim is joining us by phone from New York today. We have crazy good and crazy martinis for conservatives today. And through all of it, we're sponsored by ZipRecruiter. Right now, listeners to 3 Martini Lunch can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free trial. So, Jim, let's start with Crazy Martini number 1. You mentioned yesterday you were hoping for at least some non-crazies. We did a little better today than yesterday, but it's slow progress in the right direction. And let's talk about exactly what is leading off today. No surprise to most people. The Washington Post reporting this and breaking the story yesterday. Here's the first few paragraphs. President Trump revealed highly classified information to the Russian foreign minister and ambassador in a White House meeting last week, according to current and former U.S. officials, who said Trump's disclosures jeopardized a critical source of intelligence on the Islamic State. The information the president relayed had been provided by a U.S. partner through an intelligence-sharing arrangement considered so sensitive that details have been withheld from allies and tightly restricted even within the U.S. government. The partner had not given the United States permission to share the material with Russia, and officials said Trump's decision to do so endangers cooperation from an ally that has access to the inner workings of the Islamic State. After Trump's meeting, senior White House officials took steps to contain the damage, placing calls to the CIA and the National Security Agency, neither of which commented on this story, by the way. Quote, "This is code word information," said a U.S. official familiar with the matter, using terminology that refers to one of the highest classification levels used by American spy agencies. Trump, quote, "revealed more information to the Russian ambassador than we have shared with our own allies." Down in paragraph 16, we actually get to what was at issue here. It says Trump went on to discuss aspects of the threat that the United States learned only through the espionage capabilities of a key partner. He did not reveal the specific intelligence gathering method, but he described how the Islamic State was pursuing elements of a specific plot and how much harm such an attack could cause under varying circumstances. Most alarmingly, officials said, Trump revealed the city in the Islamic State territory where the U.S. intelligence partner detected the threat. The Post is withholding most plot details, including the name of the city, at the urging of officials who warned that revealing them would jeopardize important intelligence capabilities. The White House pushing back on this fairly quickly on Monday night. Here is National Security Advisor General H.R. McMaster.
There's nothing that the president takes more seriously than the security of the American people. The story that came out tonight, as reported, is false. The president and the foreign minister reviewed a range of common threats to our two countries, including threats to civil aviation. At no time were intelligence sources or methods discussed, and the president did not disclose any military operations that were not already publicly known. Two other senior officials who were present, including the Secretary of State, remember the meeting the same way and have said so. Their on-the-record accounts should outweigh those of anonymous sources. And I was in the room. It didn't happen. Thanks, everybody.
So many things running through my mind. First of all, the media is always at 11 with Donald Trump, so you have to break through and figure out how significant is this. Those defending him say, well, this plot was about the airliners and the micro explosions inside laptops has been out for a couple of months. So if ISIS probably could have figured out their source at that time. And they're also pointing out that the leaks might have done more to damage relationships with allies than what Trump did. On the flip side, it's definitely possible the source was compromised as a result of this. It's also possible that our relationship with allies is badly damaged. And, oh, by the way, we just spent 2 years destroying Hillary Clinton over sloppy handling of classified information. This is obviously a different scenario, but it's not good. What's your take?
This is one of the reasons you don't run cryons on some fine network that I'll be appearing on today. that say Trump gets 2 ice cream scoops and everyone else only gets 1. You'd like to save your outrage for when it really matters and when it really, counts for something. And presuming this played out the way it did, yes, this very much deserves outrage, and this represents really terrible judgment on the part of the president, which, oh, by the way, is not illegal. That's one of the things. The tweets out from Trump this morning say that he has full authority to do this. Yes, the president basically cannot leak classified information. The moment the president has sole authority to declassify anything he wants. He can say, as soon as he says it, it's no longer classified. We can argue about whether that's a good law or a bad law, but that's the way things stand. Also, as many people have calculated based on this yesterday, I think we can now conclude there was no alien crash at Roswell, because if there was, Trump would have told us about it by now. Yes, these are anonymous sources, but it sounds like in addition to the Washington Post, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, CNN, BuzzFeed, and Reuters all had them, sources saying the same thing or confirming them. Meaning either we have 2 sources who are just running around making something up and calling around every news agency they can, or this is shaken out the way it was described. What I've not heard anybody dispute was the line that they contacted the CIA and NSA to let them know that this information is now in the hands of Russians, and so they can do whatever they need to do to try to smooth over relations with that unidentified foreign government. Oh, by the way, apparently this morning a call to the Jordanian King Abdullah was added to the president's schedule. No further explanation on that, but boy, that certainly would appear to line up if the source was Jordan, and Jordanian intelligence does seem to have pretty good penetration of terror groups and stuff like that. As soon as they said a Middle Eastern ally, that was the first country that came to mind. So there is some supporting evidence to point to the basic outlines of this story. And then finally, the detail in that story there, Greg, that is either totally confirms that this account is accurate, or it's just a perfect little detail to sell it, is the line of Trump saying to the Russians, "I get the best intelligence. They bring me the best intelligence every day." I don't know about you, Greg. That sounds like the president I know. So if this is the case, this is very bad. This is not necessarily something you can impeach the president over. It just points to egregious judgment, because let's say you really wanted to make sure that the Russians were fully prepared for the potential use of a bomb in a laptop on an airline. The Russians actually had a plane go down out of Egypt about a year or 2 ago. There is good reason to share this information. You just don't have to share where you got it from. There's no particular need for that. And it just seems like off the cuff, Trump was kind of rambling and ended up blurting out information that he shouldn't. And this is deeply troubling, because let's imagine you're U.S. intelligence right now. Do you put anything really sensitive in the PDB? Because there's always a chance that Trump will let it slip because he's not paying attention or because he's not being careful. At this point, anything really good, you probably doubt whether you want to put that in there. If it is indeed Jordan, it looks like we're probably going to have to do a lot of effort to rebuild trust with the Jordanians. And if it's not that, it's one of the other countries. Again, if you're a friendly U.S. ally, how eager are you to share anything really sensitive to the U.S. government right now? Because if it goes up the chain and ends up in the hands of Trump, you end up with the possibility the president could blurt this out, either in front of Russian intelligence or in public or in some other circumstance. I walked away with this kind of really, I'm not going to say shaken, because it's not, in some ways this is exactly what the Trump skeptics were worried about. I don't know if Trump really understands the gravity of what he's doing and the consequences of this. And it's deeply disturbing. We're past reality show time here. This is now reality. And I was kind of hoping that, once Trump was elected and there was no way to avoid a Trump presidency, I was hoping he would rise to the moment and bring out his best self. And if you're blurting out really sensitive classified stuff in front of Russian guests in the Oval Office, he's not rising to the occasion, Greg. So that's my take on it all. Continuing to hope for the best, but just, deeply unnerved by this. And I would point out that it's typical Trump style that last night he has Dina Powell, H.R. McMaster, and the rest of the team go out and offer these, rather denials that kept insisting that sources and methods weren't disclosed. Now, it's not that the source name was identified or the method was identified, but it's the location of the source that mattered. If you tell ISIS that it's in, if word slips that we have a source in Raqqa, Well, it means they don't have to look for a mole in all the other places that they currently control. By the way, I don't know if it's Raqqa. It's just the biggest city that ISIS controls. So I'm just taking a guess at what that's the case is. In light of all this, I think faith in U.S. intelligence has been greatly shaken, and that is not good. And it's just bizarre that we have these conversations. That Trump would need to be reminded of the consequences of these sorts of things. This far into his presidency. This is like a day one, day two sort of chat that they have with the president.
Yeah, this was supposed to be after 8 years of Obama being more flexible and the reset button. That this was the administration that was supposed to be more shrewd and tough with Russia. Instead, they got played with the photographer in the Oval Office, and now this. Who knows what?
Can you believe, Greg? Can you believe the Russians lie?
All right, on to our actual good martini, first good martini of the week. In case you forgot, with all the hand-wringing over the Trump administration, there's hypocrisy in the Democratic Party, Jim. I hope you're sitting down as I inform you of this. This story is courtesy of the Free Beacon. Dozens of field workers have filed a class action lawsuit against the Democratic National Committee, claiming the party that is pushing employers to pay a $15 minimum wage and more in overtime failed to pay overtime and minimum wages to its own employees. Justin Swidler, the attorney representing the field workers, argued the Democratic Party failed to pay workers a minimum wage and denied them overtime compensation. Swidler says the lawsuit seeks fair pay for fair work and holding the Democratic Party to the very ideals that it embraces. The 2016 Democratic platform pushed for a $15 per hour minimum wage, a nearly $8 increase from the current minimum, and promised to defend an Obama-era regulation forcing employers to pay a higher rate to employees for working more than 40 hours. Here's the fun part. Some of the Democrats' workers put in 80 to 90 hours per week, according to Swidler, and only got $3,000 per month in compensation. They got paid a flat salary of $3,000 a month, which isn't even minimum wage for some of the hours that they were working. The Democratic platform decries the current federal minimum wage of $7.25 an hour as a starvation wage. One of the arguments that the Democrats are making is that they just don't have the money to pay overtime to their workers. So, on the one hand, they're pretty socialist with their flat rate for everybody, Jim. I guess that's more consistent with their approach to economics. But the 15 or fight, not for your own people, I guess.
If I were running the Republican National Committee right now, I would be sending out a special fundraising email, and I would say, all the money you give us, we're going to use to hire protesters at $15 an hour to protest outside the Democratic National Committee and call attention to this. And we're going to say, and when the reporters say, well, why are you protesting this? They say, well, we think this is, terrible hypocrisy. We think that the Democrats believe that there's one rule for themselves, another rule for everyone else. They're not living their values. They're really eager to impose costs on other businesses that they're not willing to pay themselves. And, oh, by the way, the Republicans are paying us $15 an hour and the Democrats won't. That'd just be a little cherry on top to the entire thing. So that's free advice out there, Republican National Committee. Don't know, you don't have to use it, but I think there'd be some, you get some good headlines out of it. And again, I think also indicates how unserious the Democrats are about most of their rhetoric. Periodically over the years, I've written about this concept of a progressive aristocracy that deep down, a lot of folks on the other side of the aisle believe that there should be two sets of rules, one for them, and then the rest for the proletariat, for the peons, for the little people. And then a lot of these, onerous or aggravating or expensive or pain in the neck rules that they want to impose on the rest of us, they believe they should be exempt from. And I think the more you emphasize this message, the more people will tune out what the Democrats have to say, because there's really no connection between what they say they stand for and what they actually stand for.
Well, if you are the RNC looking to hire these protesters at $15 an hour.
Good transition. Very good, indeed.
Or you're a Democrat looking to pay people less than the current minimum wage. You're allowed to create whatever stipulations you want for your employees. And if you want to find them in a fast and effective way, ZipRecruiter is the way to go. So are you hiring? Do you know where to post your job to find the best candidates? With ZipRecruiter, you can post your job to 100-plus job sites with just one click. Then, ZipRecruiter's powerful technology efficiently matches the right people to your job, better than anyone else. That's why ZipRecruiter is different. Unlike other job sites, ZipRecruiter doesn't depend on candidates finding you, it finds them. In fact, over 80% of jobs posted on ZipRecruiter get a qualified candidate in just 24 hours. 24 hours. No juggling emails or calls to your office. Simply screen the candidates, rate, and manage them all in one place with ZipRecruiter's easy-to-use dashboard. So find out today why ZipRecruiter has been used by businesses of all sizes to find the most qualified job candidates with immediate results. And right now, listeners to 3 Martini Lunch can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free. That's right, free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free trial. ZipRecruiter.com/free trial. One more time, to try it for free, go there right after you finish listening to us. Heck, even open up a new tab and put it in there and get ready for it after you're done listening to us. Go to ZipRecruiter.com/free trial. So, Jim, given all that we've been dealing with for the past several days here, a little bit on the lighter side for our second crazy martini, but I suppose there could be some more serious ramifications of this if we think about it a little more extensively. This is also from the Washington Post. Rachel Manteuffel is the author here. She writes, "We got a call on Friday from a reader named Paul Redmond that the Post had accidentally published Defense Secretary Jim Mattis' private cell phone number. A story about President Trump's bodyguard, Keith Schiller, was accompanied by a photograph of the two of them walking on White House grounds. The bodyguard was holding a stack of papers, and according to the caller, on the outside of those papers was a yellow sticky note that said Jim Mad Dog Mattis and had a phone number. This, of course, sounds impossible. Way more care than that is taken around the president, right? The Secret Service is good at secrecy generally, so I thanked the guy for the call and dubiously pulled up the photo in question. With the monitor turned 90 degrees and the photo blown up, indeed, I could make out a number and what might be Mad Dog Mattis. I called. I got the voicemail. It was him. Yes, of course, the president's bodyguard, the guy famous for punching someone outside of Trump Tower, the guy who, according to the story, has the president's complete trust, is employing the yellow sticky note system of information security. So they've changed the photo in the piece, and I assume that the White House is aware of this. This kind of reminds me of when Chris Kobach, Jim, showed up for his Homeland Security Secretary interview with his bullet points for what he would like to do there for the photo op. So in the end, I would hate to be the person who prank calls Jim Mattis, but what do you expect to happen here?
You know, I do believe, because I'm so plugged in with the Mattis people, Greg, I do understand that he, at one point when he gives you his cell phone number, he asks you, begging and pleading with tears in his eyes, please do not abuse the privilege of his cell phone number, or else he will kill everyone you know. No. I mean, this, you know, in a week where we're talking about security breaches that are very, very serious, very consequential, it is nice to take a breather with a security breach that is mostly funny and annoying. I'm assuming if Mattis has not changed his cell phone number, he probably will soon, or at least, at the very least, he'll be blocking that number from the Washington Post. Note to self: this is why you put the phone number into your phone, so you don't have to have it run around. I've often heard people saying that if you really wanted to break into a secure government server or computer, all you really need to do is sneak in after hours and look for the yellow Post-it note next to the computer monitor that has all their passwords. In many cases, the password is not password, PASSWRD. I've heard some people say that when they're allowed to choose it, it doesn't have to be random letters and numbers. Their password is incorrect. So if they mistype it, the message comes up, the password is incorrect, and then they know what to type in. So now you know how to break into a government computer. Nonetheless, life lesson for everyone: don't write down Mattis' number if you're going to be walking around the White House grounds in front of photographers. And whatever you do, don't prank call Mad Dog Mattis. He will find you, and he will deal with you. He's a man with a special set of skills.
Yeah, if you think Liam Neeson's tough, yeah. You don't want to be messing with the Mad Dog. All right, yeah. Jim.
Liam Neeson writes about Taken, but Mad Dog Mattis, the book is gone.
Jim, enjoy your time up in New York. We'll talk to you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow, Greg.
Jim Garrity of National Review. I'm Greg Corombos of Radio America. Thanks so much for being with us today. And be sure to visit our friends at ZipRecruiter. Right now, listeners to 3 Martini Lunch can post jobs on ZipRecruiter for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free trial. Join us again on Wednesday for the next 3 Martini Lunch.
Everyone knows Wingstop brings the flavor. But now in Vegas, we're bringing it literally with Wingstop Delivery. And to mark the occasion, we've created the Bringing It Boneless Bundle. 25 wings, 4 flavors, and 4 dips for just $15.99. Now when your crew gets the craving, just order online and track those wings all the way to your doorstep. Check out our app or head to wingstop.com and choose delivery at checkout. Wingstop, the wing delivery experts. Las Vegas locations only. Everyone knows Wingstop brings the flavor. But now in Vegas, we're bringing it literally with Wingstop Delivery. And to mark the occasion, we've created the Bringing It Boneless Bundle. 25 wings, 4 flavors, and 4 dips for just $15.99. Now when your crew gets the craving, just order online and track those wings all the way to your doorstep. Check out our app or head to wingstop.com and choose delivery at checkout. Wingstop, the wing delivery experts. Las Vegas locations only.